team fighting champions in the Aurora, and the Annie removed obviously still has a lot in his pocket that he can bring to bear. Things like the Taliyah, Yone, even if that's something that they want to go for. But G2 at the very least have taken some good champions off the board in the Fearless draft. For now, though, as we head into game 2, G2 on blue side, already the Jace, and interestingly, the Maokai banned away. They saw the games yesterday. When G2 got pushed back in the first game, they kept it simple. Varus, Maokai, plain and simple, straightforward, honest League of Legends.
Yeah, good, honest Maokai gameplay. And honestly, that is kind of where my suggestion was going to go. So, yeah, it's a very good ban there.
BLG also liked your suggestion and hence have banned.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, kind of like you're saying, they saw yesterday, you know, yeah, this split, it was up there tied with SkewMond's most played. So nobody is surprised, but they're really attacking the jungle position here, following it up with the Wukong. And of course, the Poppy is a very big ban against BLG for both Beichuan and On. And it opens up some more of these dash champion possibilities that definitely they would like to snag. So let's see how whittled down this jungle pool actually gets. Vi is still available. So, and Ahri is still up, of course. So if you want to go with another one of those big like mid-jungle combos, kind of similar to the ones that we already saw, Ahri plus Vi,
and it plays,
stands out.
I think, nicely into the wheelhouse of both mid laners, both in terms of recent performances. We've seen often trending towards those playmakers, those kind of utility mid laners, not the big control mages, not the big assassins.
Knight has played Ahri a couple times.
A couple times, maybe. Some would say he's pretty good at it.
Yeah.
You know? But just pretty good. So Gwen taken away. Don't want to deal with that pick. So now the first pick choice. They banned Poppy, which I don't think has been a mandatory perma, so maybe they're looking at something like an early Callista. But I don't think you have to be worried about it.
Yeah, I'm on the side that early Callista picks are kind of bait, because then the other team can, especially this early in Fearless, lots of like heavy poke damage is available, you know? So they go with the Vi side of it that we were talking about, and then you have to split Taliyah or Ahri. And it looks like they, along with most people, really value the Taliyah side of it. Yeah. I like that. Whoa! Here we go. Beichuan hovers.
So far, the Taliyah, of course, was a great look for Knight yesterday. Even in game 1 against GAM, where they started to fall behind a little bit, Knight really came online, was able to get a lot of work done. Ahri, a champion
Shout out
who
to Sion.
Yeah, can do a lot of work, but
just take me back, you know? MSI, you know, BLG having Kindreds and
what does that nameplate say? What does that nameplate say? Beichuan knows his job. Wait, he's here for the team, Kobe.
I love that, though. You know, BLG with Sion at MSI, bring back some good memories. Making it all the way to second place twice.
You can't be talking about the X when the new jungler's on stage, bro.
It's loving.
You're doing Beichuan dirt.
Okay. So yeah, but as you say, they get him on much more of a champion that we have seen from Beichuan. The Skarner here, really good front line for them. And then no surprise, it is the Ahri lock-in to complement the Vi.
A bit of a surprise is the Jax. They're essentially saying lock in your top lane option now, or we'll ban it away. A counter pick. Is Ben willing to just grab something like the Sion? Because Broken Blade on the Jax hasn't looked phenomenal. Domestically for a while, he was a powerhouse on it, but obviously it's unfair to call back only to yesterday, but need to see if he can really...
But you kind of have to,
because yesterday was yesterday.
It's kind of recent in my mind.
Yeah, it feels pretty relevant right now. So, Ben taking a more conservative matchup, but what I'll say is we have a nice front line here. We have good setup on BLG. We need a bit more damage.
I would call that a giga front line.
A giga front line.
Okay. Mega front line.
Yeah.
It's a fat front line, in fact.
Portly.
Mega health stacking.
Size front line.
It is worth... Yo, shout out! Nice. It is worth saying Jax did get those attack speed buffs on this match. So, yeah, as we said, yesterday was also with those buffs, though. So it didn't work.
It was true. And I think the good news is for SkewMond, right? Vi already brings a lot of her own setup to the table, but you do have pretty solid CC in both of the lanes they've selected so far. My concern is I think BLG have an excellent angle here to go something front to back. Vi is good at killing a lot of champions, but we've seen historically when she's really good, oftentimes things like the Zeri that can get away from her easy. There's certain picks that you can bring out that Xayah also something that I think G2 probably need to consider banning.
And I will say this is a trap that some people fall into with Vi a lot, is always tunneling so hard on my, I have to assassinate somebody. You know, I have to ult somebody. I've got an Ahri on my team, so we have to go kill backline. But Vi does shred frontline pretty effectively too. So very often, like, you can kind of, you know, queue into the front line, you know, pop denting blows, try and help your team that way, and save for really perfect timing on your ultimate. Because if you go into the front line, you shred them a little bit, and then you use your ultimate when they try and CC you to immune it and kind of buffer there, then you can create a lot of value without full sending yourself into...
It's easy to just think of the ulti and the vault breaker, but you're right that the denting blows.
You can definitely...
If you can just start autoing that jungle, that top laner, you will do a lot of damage. You'll shred that armor. But now we see double AD carry bans. Don't want to give these ranged follow-up options to a composition that is already so pick-focused to the side of G2. So that's the Kai'Sa gone, that's the Jhin gone. But support focus is the name of the game for G2. They've taken away 2 of On's picks here. The Renata with a comp that wants to go in, it makes sense. And the Rel, still just a premier engage option, is now you've set up Elk to play one of the best champions in the meta, no doubt in my mind, and a champion that with this kind of front line can do a lot of work.
I mean, Elk was already, you know, showing his ego last game. He's gonna do it again. He's like, you have a Vi Ahri, I don't care. I'll pick a low mobility carry. I don't need dashes.
Yeah,
okay, buddy.
I'm going to be honest, I saw that nameplate and I saw that champion and I kind of forgot about the fact that there is that Ahri Vi, which is going to make this difficult. You're right, that's a good call out.
The Sivir here. Okay, and this is nerfed Neeko on this patch. It was actually pretty big, 20 damage early off of Q. Now it is buffed later for scaling. But support does not get a lot of levels.
Yeah, it's to balance out the mid lane role. The scaling is there for champions who get money. This champion doesn't get money.
So very clearly here, you know, they're looking to farm with the Sivir and play for that big farm condition. Double poke gets locked in alongside the Varus though, so they are going to have strong laning from BLG, and we did see already from this squad, you know, with Beichuan going for bottom side tower dives. They did it a couple games versus IG in playoffs as well.
Yeah.
So definitely a possibility here. I mean, they're Elkanon definitely can get a lot of chunk damage down. We'll see about this though, because I haven't seen a lot of you know, footage on Neeko with the 20 damage nerf on the Q.
Yeah.
So we'll see how potent it still is.
I mean, against Karma level 1, it's always going to be tough. But you're right, in those first few levels, maybe it's something that G2 can navigate. Expect them to be on the back foot early on. Of course, if you haven't watched esports for a million years like Kobe and I have, you may forget about the Sivir 500 CS blah win condition. But G2 do have certainly a scaling angle. I do think it's tough though. BLG have completely shifted the playbook from what we saw in Game 1. Game 1, all about going all in. Yeah. This game gives them a lot more flexibility to just absorb that engage. Shields on that Sion with all those resistances are going to be so effective. The same is true for the Skarner, and G2, I think, might struggle if they fall behind to get through that beefy front line.
Yep. Huge, mega front line here for BLG. All right, G2. Labrov doing a lot of talking here. See what the game plan is. Time to lock in. The
guys continue.
Sweeper super early here, does find that one. And you know Karma is OP level 1.
Yes, you do. Has an extra ability. Why is that fair?
Boom.
Mantra. Boom. Powered ability, I guess, is Labrov already getting poked. Probably a quick reset here. And overall, looking at G2, BLG really has just been the boogeyman for them. And if it starts off with a strong level 1, you have to hope that the doubt doesn't set in, but they're taking so much control.
Calling Broken Blade too. They're calling Broken Blade. Now, ooh, okay. Yeah.
I respect that you were ready.
Yeah, they call it off. They call it off. BLG are like, all right, fine.
And to be fair, if there was any teams to just full-on 5v5 at level 1, I could see it being these teams.
And it is like an important defense there, because you don't want you know, any extra to deal with on this bottom side of the map. Elkin on here with the double comments, and Elk has gone with teleport on the Varus, so has again another way to get right back.
And see, and I think the nice thing about having this much poke on the side of BLG is it will eventually force a fight from G2. It feels like G2 are going to have to be the ones to engage. As we see, lane phase kicks off here. Nothing much to report yet.
Yeah, I want to see how heavy this bottom lane pushes, because with teleport and having the free base available for Elk, And the double comments, oh, that one going wide there. Every little bit of poke does matter.
Certainly
so
does.
G2 then move up afterwards.
Yeah, not a lot of sustain in this lane. You can see both supports packing heal. But I think important to remember how much this game means in the context of G2's history against the LPL especially. It has not been pretty, Kobe.
Yeah.
We were very grateful when Team Liquid took out IG for us in 2019. And I think that when you rebuild this roster, this G2 roster, they told us explicitly is 4 international results. Proof of that would be taking down an LPL team, doubly so when it's a team like BLG that has eliminated you so many times before.
Yeah, BLG eliminating G2 the last 3 times they met up in best of series. Each of those series, though, G2 took 1 game.
That's not enough to win, though, Kobe.
So
I think they want more.
But I'm saying you haven't won a game yet, so maybe there's already one that's in the bag for you.
We haven't won 2 or 3 yet either, which I think is the break point that's really important.
So, as expected here, the onslaught of a Varus Karma poke whittling down on Labrov. Junglers have about finished up with their full clears here on the bottom side, though.
And no surprise to see SkewMond pathing down bottom side. We've all seen Beichuan on red side make that dive happen so many times at early levels. Caps, though, gets caught by the flick. A good charm to follow. Knight relatively out of mana, but he might not need it. One more auto! In the 1v1, Knight stands on top.
Knight's Taliyah with the solo bolo on Caps. That is going to be very, very painful. And the Taliyah gets ahead. Wait a second.
Ghost flashing out, still rooted up. Decent damage with the spell shield there to keep Sama safe.
Oh, man, that is so big for Knight. I mean, that is a dream purchase here, too. He even gets an extra control ward for safety off the back half, and he's got flash advantage. The Taliyah has the flash advantage versus Ahri here. This is massive stuff. Really early tier from him. Gets to start stacking that one. SkewMond is already here to try and punish. But Caps can't, like, set him up with a charm flash or anything.
Unraveled Earth is there. They force the flash from Knight. Knight a little bit over-aggressive on that Unraveled Earth cooldown, or he might have been able to stop a Vault Breaker at the very least, but at least evens up the flashes.
Yeah, and Knight hadn't gotten time to go place his control ward yet either, so he does instantly have to blow the flash and even that back up. After the gank, then he goes to put his control ward to have the extra safety, though.
And it's big for G2 that they get value out of this Vi-Ahri combo, because this Vi first pick is what they prioed. Taliyah was on the table, something that was banned in game 1. They knew what they were risking, they knew what they were giving up. So for Knight to get that solo kill is bad, and the flash at least makes things feel a little bit better, gives you better options as we get closer to that level 6.
Just getting some support roams going on too. As you can see in the river there, On was moving up to try and get vision from the other side for Knight as well, but SkewMond camping out. Mid lane camp by Ahri.
SkewMond and Labrov, because that one's fake! Knight, the Q flash, perfect from SkewMond. He spent his time in practice tool. Knight taken down. Beichuan, a quick knockback into the wall, but it's just too late. Is he gonna give his life as well? Nice Vault Breaker, good follow-up damage. One more auto, and it's Labrov to grab another.
It is SkewMond and Labrov, the additions on G2 that come help make the difference. After Caps got solo killed by Knight, these two come and correct the situation. Plus getting that extra one onto Beichuan is huge.
Ooh, Elkin on. Playing forward, knowing that they need to keep this wave away from their tower. They don't spot SkewMond, but luckily they have that control ward in inventory so they can regain control over Tribrush. Broken Blade still feeling comfortable here. 4 members on the way down. Weaver's Wall available for Knight. The clone dancing, continuing. Obnoxious that's cool, but it works. On. A little bit of damage down. Labrov in trouble. Flick back hits, but it doesn't knock him into the Unraveled Earth. Keep your eyes on that arrow coming in from Elk. It only manages to connect on the clone, and G2 are able to walk away.
G2. Support jungle doing some work this game. Let's see, that allows the push on mid too. I mean, look at Caps. He's already another wave right up at turret. Knight gonna have to get back pretty quickly here. SkewMond comes over to contest though.
Smite from Beichuan secures it, but Knight has to spend a little bit more time supporting with a threaded volley, threatening a little bit more as Elk will TP to move back down to the bottom side. Will mean that they have more pressure in bot lane, likely to be first to start the objective as Broken Blade is just going to be forced to catch that wave and does not have a TP of his own.
Yeah, working in on it here. His tier picked up as well for Elk, so the onslaught of poke continues.
G2's decision to split up these lanes. Just give Hansama an easier time against the Sion, but the struggle early is that Bin, there's no CC on the Sivir. You can't just stop him from forcing those waves in. The TP as well from the Varus means that G2 are just incredibly far behind on tempo.
Yeah, and it's just painful for both side lanes in CS. Broken Blade down, Hansama also down, struggling in it. And on these rotations, you see minion waves dying to towers on the side lanes. This very powerful combo from BLG working wonders here. So gold advantages for both him, Elk there, as well as Bin.
And while G2 have gotten some advantage out of having that Neeko, the plays in mid lane, we need to see what it looks like as we get closer to level 6, where you can really start to outvalue that Karma. Beichuan hovering mid, but this is the struggle of a pick like the Skarner. It is comfort for Beichuan, but it doesn't have that same point-and-click reliability against a champion like Ahri. You really need Knight to be there as well as the flash comes in from Bin. Instant ulti, wall laid down 2, flip back to the other side of the wall as he takes it down and knocks SkewMond out.
I like that. Bin making the Sion look like an assassin here. Flashes in, gets it, they pick it up. Knight grabbing the kill. Caps comes over to mess with the grubs.
Play bottom lane, Hansama ulting, Labrov likely to fall. Kill finish, Feet of Warfare as Elk grabs that one. That lethality Varus really starting to hurt. Meanwhile, on the top side of the map, you saw Beichuan, I think over-eager, starting the grubs after that play had already gone in their favor. Knight and Bin really couldn't support, so G2 will at least get these two back, even without a jungler in the area, as Beichuan's just a bit over-eager.
Yep, they bring 2 back for themselves. Fortunately for G2, the bottom lane, more and more of the poke does hit, and Elk, he flashes in, even though he does, even though the ult gets juked, it doesn't matter because the damage they have there, as On also flashing, fully committing to these plays.
Yeah, and it looked to me like the mantra Q really is the difference there, as it manages to connect despite the spell shield from Hansama. He's only able to protect himself.
Yeah, that is all the summoner spells used though. They both flashed and they healed for that, so full commitment to be able to get that kill onto the nerf to Neeko.
See if they can continue to press this advantage. As you highlighted, down sums does mean some of this objective contests might be a bit harder. We're still quite far away from the Drake, and Broken Blade with that time he spent on the bottom side of the map at least has a Phage under his belt, which may make this lane a little bit easier.
Yeah, and G2 right now, when you've got Vi ultimate and there's no sums for BLG bottom lane, like this Varus should be a target. Varus and Karma down here, though, have done such a good job constantly hitting their poke, constantly having that pressure. So let's see where this Vi Ahri does go, because both ultimates being available, gonna be looking for that proactive play. Looks like SkewMond at the moment just farming though.
And as we have a break, I think it's important to highlight how effective and annoying Bin has been already in this series. This is a guy who's come under a lot of criticism, BLG as a team as a whole.
Beginning of the year, yeah.
But Bin, I think, has been a stellar performer. We saw it yesterday, we saw it in game 1, just outputting insane damage, consistently a threat to deal with. And even in this game, even on Sion, who, yes, can be strong early, but isn't someone that you necessarily expect this level of dominance from, is already doing so much work. He's such an annoyance for G2. And you said it yourself, he's playing it like an assassin. He's going over the wall, he's ready to go.
He is, he definitely is. Successful this game. Okay, SkewMond with a little takeaway here. And he's got his little experience lead at the moment over Beichuan. But again, now with the recall, okay, Sundered Sky completed here for SkewMond. Now, surely, they've got ult, they've got Sundered Sky.
Ulti. Melk hits the real Labrov. Labrov zooming, running. That's the ulti down, and Labrov is at least able to walk away. He does use the heal, but he holds on to the flash. And that Sundered Sky is big. Those beefy frontliners, while Sion can do a lot of damage when that ulti is up, when he can guarantee the full channel Q, SkewMond going to be a lot tankier, a lot harder to deal with if they go for a full-on fight, but neither side has gone for a 5v5. It's just been picks, little skirmishes.
Those Neekos are hard to hit with Elk, with the Varus ultimate, but no harm, no foul, nobody dead in the aftermath. So once again, jungle support moving up to try and get that mid lane vision.
Ulti there, lockdown onto Elk, and this is the problem with the Varus. As good as he looked for the game up until now, he can't get away.
There you go, Drakos. That's the play we're looking for. The Vi ultimate should mean a dead Varus. They get Elk. He completed his Thunder Sky. He went for the play on the bottom side. Nicely done from G2. Still is a long way ahead of the Dragon, so it's just that gold right now.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens now with the Dragon spawning, because those cooldowns are going to be quite meaningful. Yeah.
Yeah. And Caps doesn't have Malignance completed, as we see the lockup is there. Looks like easy pickings onto SkewMond. On in position, a lot of healing though, and SkewMond's able to make it away. Thunder Sky is the difference as the charm connects, and Labrov is ready! A three-man. Hansama is here. It's only one item on the Sivir, but he might have enough to get it done. Fortunately, he doesn't. It's G2 over eager. Labrov has to try and sidestep, but Beichuan just ready to throw a rock on his head. And in the meantime, it's been breaking towers.
And look, yeah, he got him. Okay, so they did in the end chase down Labrov as we cut away looking at the other side. Teleport goes back out on top side too for him to push right back out, but you know, BLG with the lead, and the Dragon finally does come up. They should be able to secure this one to continue stacking.
And the big thing about stacking these Drakes is most of the games we've seen today, it's been 1-1 split on the first two Drakes, but when you're the team that can approach Soul Point, you can guarantee the enemy team has to come to you, and we know how good this BLG team composition is when you get that setup on those objectives.
Yeah, and well, let's see here. They're going to be a little bit late coming over. Doesn't look like it'll be meaningful. But I have to point out, once again, you already did earlier with the bin graphic, he is over 1,000 gold ahead in the top lane matchup. The top lane matchup was going to be big. Even though it's not on our screen at the moment, the Sion will be massive. So here's a look at them trying to punish SkewMond afterwards, after the previous play. He barely does get out, does not tick down to the Scorpion passive.
It was 3 Sundered Sky procs, and we come back and Hansama is dead. Elk and On, despite us leaving the lane phase, are still finding those same advantages.
Yeah, and this time On flashes in, and they're like, yep, we're going to get him again. They keep this Sivir down. Another kill. So in addition to Bin with his lead, it is still Elk here on the poke Varus. Gaining that mid lane priority once again, but on the side lanes, G2 kind of hunting. They have both Labrov and calling SkewMond as well on the Vi. His ultimate is back up and available with addition of Caps, and they're going to go for the dive.
Waiting for the angle, Labrov! He pre-uses the ult, he knows exactly what Knight has to try and do to escape, so in the end it's just a clean dive, a nice side lane pick.
Yep, he's like, you are going nowhere, Knight. They shut him down, they get their kill. Can they get the objective afterwards here? Pushing in once again, constantly here too after the play, SkewMond hovering. And
you can see on your mini-map, Broken Blade leaving top lane. Will move back as the wave starts to come in, but with Triforce, maybe Ben is afraid. One more Demolish proc, and this tower goes down. Yeah. Broken Blade feeling better about the fight. You highlighted it earlier, Jack's a little bit more attack speed, more damage in these sustained exchanges, but not enough damage to threaten this Sion, unfortunately.
Yep, he's got his plated steel caps, finished Sunfire, which scales nicely with all the extra HP on his Soul Furnace, so Bin is a big boy.
Yeah, the 15-minute 700 bonus HP is not a feels good.
Yeah, and he
G2
just takes out these towers. It's definitely been a rough tournament so far for Broken Blade. This Jax being a bit behind here, but does have his training force at least.
SkewMond finding Knight, 1-2, waiting as long as he can for the ulti. Of course, doesn't have the cooldown this time around, but Caps does have an ulti of his, fishing for the charm. Knight, a casual sidestep, the heal, forced to come out, and it's not enough, Caps!
Oh, yeah, that's... You want that one back, Drakos?
Say it, Kobe. Say it, Kobe. Say the thing.
That tower dive sucked. Is that what you wanted?
That's not what I wanted, but I think it's what the people needed to hear.
Okay.
That's ruthless. And again, SkewMond, if he has ult here, it's easy. If the charm connects, there's so many ifs in this play, but the ultimate truth is, Knight's footwork just better, and Caps and the heal calculation, well, they did not do the math correctly.
Yep.
Meanwhile, in the mid lane, another person dies. The game does not stop.
And it's Hansama.
Hansama taken down, and again, the scaling angle for G2 is getting further and further away. Broken Blade cannot stay in lane against Bin, cannot stop him from taking towers. Hansama cannot sit comfortably in the mid wave.
And this relentless pursuit of towers by BLG is so necessary here with this team. They've got the beefy front line for the mid part of the game. And so, wait a second, they're gonna go up top side here. Look at the roam. Taliyah's already there. Karma's on the way. They've got their eyes on Broken Blade.
The mantra Q comes out. Uses the tether now, knowing that Broken Blade will have no way out. Immediate response is the flick back. Counter-Strike blocks some of the damage, but not nearly enough. Broken Blade taken down. SkewMond just in time to watch his top laner fall. And BLG, not only are they taking towers, they're finding these side lane picks now. Yeah. And the map is getting smaller and smaller for G2 Esports.
The triple teleports. Elk with the teleport up to the play as well. Bottom side, Bin still has his teleport, but he's close enough here. Just walk on over. Destroy the minion wave, collect yet another.
And I will say I really like this adaptation coming in from BLG. You know you have generally stronger lanes when you pick something like the Karma Varus. You add another TP to the picture just to make sure that G2 never get to be comfortable. You can always be ahead on tempo because you have that extra TP. And it's just meant that the avenues for G2 have been just few and far between.
Yeah, and as the Dragons continue to stack, we have to see when G2 are really going to fully throw down here. Number 3 looks very dark here, so this might not be the time. Checking in to try and retake vision at the moment, though. Neeko is very good at that. The clone's such a useful tool.
And Hansama doesn't have a second item yet. And again, what you
Caps has no ult.
Caps has no ult now.
Neither Bin does.
Yeah, but I think for G2 right now, even trades are a little bit tough coming into these fights because you know that BLG have the stat advantage.
Oh, yeah. That's got to be Dragon number 3. You don't want to fight number 3. It's just soul point. Wait until the next one. Wait until you have better setup. Wait until you have a possibility here because there are multiple 2-item power spikes. Both BLG solo laners have their double item power spikes. Meanwhile, not a single person on G2 does so. You cannot fight that one. That plus the vision advantage way, way out of reach.
Knight moving bottom lane. This time the charm connects. Knight doesn't have to quite have time to use anything else and will immediately ult out as on flashes. Okay. Beichuan's running now too. Broken Blade, they're gonna stun him. What the heck is this sequence of play? Beichuan is gonna die! Okay, then they find a kill back! I'm sorry! What?
Are you not entertained?
Thank you.
Knight creates the wall, on flashes over, Beichuan is in there!
And this
is also in there!
We have witnessed the biggest strengths and biggest weaknesses of BLG in a single game. When they are on the same page, they are unstoppable. Right now, they seem to be on the same page. Broken Blade, unhappy about this sequence as the slow is there, as is the decimating smash. So in the end, if we take all that play together, it's a 2-for-1.
Yeah. Plus a tower on the top side. Okay, a little bit something back. This one, of course, a secondary tower worth so much more than the first one, so BLG will get the better of it.
And you can see that Hansama just doesn't, again, needs to finish the Navori Flicker Blades because he wants that auto wave clear. Even then, though, a third item probably necessary before he can do much to this front line.
Yeah. Sivir so far behind here. And Dragon stacking plan for BLG is going to be it. So they will continue on that. It's pretty far out in the future, so we'll take Otacon first.
SkewMond on the way in. Or rather, SkewMond clone on the way in.
Caps has no teleport, so it's just a full trade here.
Yep.
The team-wide 800 gold of that top tower for the Otacon G2 trade.
If Labrov could stop disguising himself as the jungler and sending the clone towards objectives, it would make my job.
All right, that one looked really funny, though. That was a funny
SkewMond. I was like, he's going for these top side.
He's just doing the punching bag down, sliding through the river.
I will say this. I may not be pleased that that interaction works, but it is funny every time. Beichuan grabs another camp. Again, I mean, you can take a look at the bottom of your screen. 2.4K for Bin. He's feeling unkillable. There's no carry on this G2 lineup alone that can 1v1 Bin right now. Maybe Broken Blade with, 10 minutes, but lockdown there. Beichuan locked up.
Good pick.
Good damage. Caps wants to keep it going now on to Knight. Sidestep on the Unraveled Earth. The Seismic Shove won't catch him, but Bin now on the way down. Good news is they have the clone to give them that little bit of extra free vision. Been fishing for a bit more, but BLG have just bullied them out. It's still 2 minutes to the objective, however, so G2 don't mind. Knight trying once again on the bottom side. Labrov, rocket belt away. And they will be able to back off. On not forced to flash over a wall this time, which is good because he doesn't have flash, so would end very differently, I imagine.
Okay, I guess it just ends at that single kill, and since we're still a minute and a half away from the Dragon, not going to have too big of a lasting effect. I mean, nobody used their flashes. That's the critical thing.
Yeah.
When teams are fishing for a lot of these plays, usually a minute, 2 minute out, as we get the punching bag in, it's definitely critical not to blow your summoner spells. So just die if you're going to die. Give over the little bit of gold in favor of the bigger possible reward when that Dragon fight does come.
And I think right now for G2, while the gold is stacked against them, if they can get decent vision, this is it's a pretty solid opportunity to fight because there's not a third completed item on the side of BLG. I don't think you're going to get a better timing than that unless BLG fumble and give more space for G2 to come back in this game. Hans has opted for the IE, wants more immediate upfront damage, not as worried about that infinite wave clear cooldown reduction. So maybe G2 try and go for this. I think conceding Soul really would start to make this game feel impossible.
Definitely is going to be painful because the sustain wave.
Secret Labrov, flashback from Elk. The ulti does connect on him in the meantime. Bin now ready to follow. Decimating smash a little bit out of range, but the seismic shove makes everything okay. BLG, Beichuan now here. Knight continuing to chase. The follow-up damage as the arrows find their target. G2 once again forced back. 17 seconds till the Soul, and they've already lost their support in jungle.
Great counter from BLG. Elk says, "You're not going to catch me sleeping." Flashes away, and BLG will take that as the key to the base of G2. They open up the front door, but now they turn back around for the Dragon Soul. Still 20 seconds left on SkewMond, so they should be able to go pick that one without a contest.
A tier 3-2, a tower, and the Soul is more than you could have hoped for the side of BLG. The Soul alone would have been plenty, and the gold lead only continues to grow in their favor. Now the value of that Soul with so many poke champions, with so many beefy frontliners. It's looking hard at this point for G2.
It certainly is. The extra sustain here when you have such a strong front line and the pokes coming through. Let's take a look at that in our priceless moments. Elk, he flashed away and he hit his ulti. Beautiful stuff. Beautiful stuff from Elk there. Evading plus hitting his own ult, set up the seismic shove, set up these counter kills for BLG.
Really overall, just confidence to re-engage there, not caught off guard. If Labrov is able to sidestep that ult, maybe they can walk away. Just happy to get a flash, but not only is he flashing away, he's finding an engage in the meantime too.
Drakos, it's a clap back for the first game. You know, when he was on MF and he was like, all right, I'm trying to dodge Labrov. You know, I'm feeling him out.
Yeah.
This time around, Elk's like, all right, I calibrated. I've got you downloaded, buddy.
That's not what I want to hear, Kobe. I don't want to. He doesn't need to calibrate anymore. He already calibrated really good in game one. It's Beichuan. Hoping to find caps here. BLG overall much, much stronger. It's getting harder and harder for G2 to find an optimal fight and to find the time for their carries to farm up. Rocket Belt available for Labrov, but no flash. As SkewMond waits on the flank. Vision from Neeko, such a boom.
That is quite a flank, by the way.
Yeah. BLG backing off. Want to wait for
I like
mid-prime.
Slow pan. And as you'll see, up into the top right corner here.
That is a Vi.
He does have a control.
That is also a Vi. There's also a Vi top side. There are many Vi's. Which of them are real?
You're a liar. You're a liar.
That's the level of deception G2 need to bring to bear if they want to find that engage.
Sure.
Unfortunately,
Aren't we all Vi, you know, if you really think about it?
I don't know what to reference in our opinion. I don't know. I don't know where to go with that, Kobe. But
Well, maybe you go for the flank. I see some of the pings going down now, but now he's going to go over the control ward. He didn't know there's a control ward by Raptor Pit. He's been seen.
BLG.
The game is
spotted him.
The game is up.
Oh, he's been detected. He's too young to have played Splinter Cell, Kobe. He wasn't ready. The Metal Gear Solid blip appeared above his head, and now he's just got to get the hell out.
We must go deeper. In order to escape, we must go deeper.
The only way out is through, Kobe.
Yeah.
Another TP used. SkewMond running, tries to sidestep, knocked back into the wall. The rest of G2 posturing around Baron. He lives a little bit longer. Decent damage onto Knight, but not enough to make the difference. Knight now on a rampage. The long flank denied.
What do we call that play?
Committed. I call it as a committed play is what I would call that.
That is the flank from the moon, but they do pick him off. And that's going to be BLG Baron. No enemy smite to think about. No. I mean, honestly, though, when you are in the position like that, you're like, your risk tolerance goes way up.
Well, and the important thing to note is
we got to make something.
G2 do have a scaling angle. They just don't have the time to do it. So that's why you see the flank. Maybe it's for the Baron steal, maybe it's for the hope of a team fight. But after the early game went the way it did, with G2 solo lanes unable to find farm, Hansam only now getting a half an item completed despite how much time they've spent on the map, you can tell why they would feel pressured to make a play like that, to leverage the most of a little angle that they have in the enemy jungle.
Yeah, and I don't think Ben is ever dying. This guy is so freaking monstrous in this game. Insane Sion right now.
And for G2, right, it's not a best of 3. It's not like last year, you're not done here. You have more time to rally. Fearless new champions have to be brought to bear. Yeah. But at the end of the day, even though the core, the Ahri and the Vi have gotten a bit of work done as the ulti comes out. SkewMond getting the fight started, the TP there, but there's no one to follow up. Decimating Smash, Broken able to fashion time. Looking for a two-man knockup. Flick back on Labrov, trying to turn. He managed to get the backline. Instantly, SkewMond goes in and it's Hansam on the side. The Sivir is uncontested. They managed to take him down. It's 1-for-1. Elk throws the arrow back. Broken going back in for another stun, but the team is not there beside him. G2 being zoned away from their own base. Hansama with the spell shield, managing to block a bit of damage. It's On who's going to be taken down, but no, the Mantra W buys him an extra second. Flash out from Hansama. G2 on the retreat, but it's a 3v3. They managed to find a good fight, but it just gets them to even. SkewMond flicked back, waiting to channel out. We'll be okay for now. Still a steady retreat. Knight likely to find the kill here as SkewMond goes back in. The extra shielding not enough, and Kobe, your prediction seems to be correct. Bin will not die, but he will continue to advance, trying not to give G2 any angles to cover or protect their mid-wave.
Taking tower shots for fun down here. Undeniable, unstoppable. Does get charmed up.
A little bit more true damage. TP now coming in. Varus returning to the fray, but Bin recalling. Has a TP of his own. They want to go for the throat. They want to end it here. Ulti goes wide. Charm still connecting. Eyes on Knight. The flick back could be big. Isn't going to hit. Caps 2 charges left. Bin standing in the midst of the towers, threatening to end the base. Counter-strike ready to go. Broken Blade going to lead back. Caps going to go in. Health bars are getting lower, but G2 need to pull the trigger because it's Hansama who's been caught out. Elk manages to grab the kill. 2 low health towers. BLG on the cusp of match point. But G2 holding on as best they can. Weaver's Wall there. Zoning. Labrov away. SkewMond going in under the backline trying to find Elk. The knockup is there from Bin though. Beichuan and Bin, the beefy frontliners to find the mid laner, and Elk is still alive. BLG pushing G2 back, holding the line in G2's base, and bringing it to match point.
Super solid follow-up here from BLG. Bin, my goodness, on the Sion. Farming into a monstrosity.
And G2, they tried to swap to get away from the rough laning phases, and they ended up with 2 rough laning phases anyway. The picks that they brought, you could see some of the logic, but it just did not work out. The extra TP for the Varus, so many small adaptations for BLG to make that game look even cleaner than the game 1. And now we need to see this G2 lineup dig deep, find the picks, the confidence, and the level of execution, because the odds are stacked against them.
I think that word is key, the confidence there. Confidence, to make plays, to look for aggressive angles. Gonna have to take this game. It's not gonna be given to you.
100%. BLG a team, when they don't have that lead, they can crumble. G2 haven't been able to find it yet. We're going to head over to the analyst desk to talk more about that game.